Hello and welcome back to another edition of our blue collar bets. Excuse me, my microphone's giving me a little doohickey here and there. Blue collar bets on Friday evenings with us, your hosts from the Source Podcast over at Source Podcast 11. We are here representing BCMG and doing them proud with our gambling picks. This week is a light weekend in terms of betting. There's not that much going on football wise, which is our specialty. That doesn't really happen much besides the Pro Bowl, which we're not going to dive too
Do
deep
not
into.
bet on the Pro Bowl. That's
That's
it.
Job's
That's what it
advice.
says.
That's Job's advice. My advice is to ride the AFC this year. And I can go into that a little bit more later, and I'm going to because, God damn it, I can choose to if I want to. You can't stop me. But we got a good show going on tonight, so thanks everyone for joining us. And without further ado, let's kick it off with Joe. I think you said you got some college basketball
I
you're
do
interested in
indeed.
over the
These
weekend
are all Saturday. I don't have any Sunday games for college basketball. I
because that's
like.
all reserved for Pro Bowl betting, obviously.
Oh, of course, of course. Okay, I like Oklahoma against Oklahoma State. I like getting the 2.5 points on this game. I know that the big money is on Oklahoma State to win this game. People know Oklahoma State. They know that Cade Cunningham was a beast there. They know that people trust this program. Oklahoma's a little bit more of an unknown, uh, but they've been pretty good so far this season. And 2.5 points is too much for a big rivalry game for me. You're getting 2.5 because it is at Oklahoma State. There
You
will
heard
be
it here
fans.
first. 2.5 points in basketball. Too many points.
It's too many points where the team's going to win outright, or it will be a nail biter. I would take the money line here plus 115, but it's college basketball, so give me the points and we'll be okay with that. That's probably my least favorite of the three plays this weekend. I haven't watched enough Oklahoma State to be super confident in this play. But here are my other plays that I like that I'm super confident in. I like Illinois plus 1.5 at Indiana. Uh, Illinois, I think, is very underrated as a team. They play great team ball. They move the basketball. They rebound well. Their assist numbers are way up this year. It's one of those games that you really are wondering why they're dogs. And the main reason that they're dogs is because they're on the road. Um, it is minus 109 and minus 110, depending on which side you lean at. So the money line is pretty much a pick 'em, but you're getting a point. Um, I like Illinois here. I think that they have a good chance to go on the road and stun some folks and make themselves a true contender as we move through the college basketball season. The third game I have is my favorite game of the week. It is the only game that I am betting between two top 20 teams. It is a 2-unit play for me.
Whoa, two in a
It is
college basketball play.
it is not a money line though. It is a spread. I'm taking
Boo.
I'm taking UConn and the Huskies plus 5.5 at Villanova. That's number 17 UConn at number 12 Villanova on the road plus 5.5. It's 6 in some spots, so if you can get 6, please do. Uh, Always shop for the better number if you can. If you look at some of these, results against the spread, and I'm looking at them right now, Sam, and that's why I'm looking down at my screen here. It just makes sense that Villanova's won 3 of the last 4 games against these two teams. They've covered the spread in 3 of those 4 as well. In each one of those games, the under hit. All 4 of the last games between these two teams, the under has hit. They have been close matchups, with the exception of the last one, in which, or rather the oldest one on this list, 2018. Obviously, Nova's a lot different than it is now. But if you look at the game in 2021, 68-60, Nova covered 7.5. I just think that this is the time for Connecticut to step up. They are a top 20 team for a reason. They move the basketball better than most teams in the sport. They play great defense. Villanova has been very, very hot shooting the basketball of late. In a tough defensive battle, I like the points at 5.5. I would take it at 6 if you can find it. I'm looking at it now. It doesn't look like 6 is still on the board. So if you can find 6, please do. It's 5.5 in most spots.
All right. Thanks for that little 5-minute roundup there. I only have one college basketball play I like this weekend. As you and I both know, February is when we start kind of dipping our toes into our college basketball data because we think we finally have enough at that point. It's an imperfect system. It worked for us last year. Let's keep it going this year. I only have one play, and that is Purdue minus 8.5 at home against Michigan. 8.5 is a lot of points. I understand that. But Michigan's top weapon is Hunter Dickinson in the front court. He is going to have to go up against Matt Edey and Travion Williams in the front court of Purdue. It's arguably, I mean, Purdue's such a deep team. You can really pick and choose which part of their team is the deepest. Some might go with their guard play and Jaden Ivey, who is also going to be dominant in this game. I have no doubt that he's going to take over, especially with the lackluster play we've seen from Michigan's guards. But I also really like Travion Williams and Matt Edey to do a good job defensively on Hunter Dickinson to the point where that slows down Michigan's offense. I don't really necessarily like taking unders in college basketball games because at any time a team could just start hitting a bunch of shots. It's kind of just the way that game goes. We're at peace with that when we make the plays, but I don't really like playing unders in college basketball unless it's IUPUI. So I really like Purdue at minus 8.5. I think they win this game by 10 points or more easily. I don't think it's much of a contest, especially at home where they play markedly better. And Michigan just does not have the sauce this year. Purdue clearly does, and Purdue, I think, is coming off. It's definitely not that recent, but they did lose a big game recently. So I know that college basketball teams like to play a little harder after they've been humbled. This is definitely a spot for them to regain some confidence against a team that's supposed to be a lot better than they are. But that doesn't. There's nothing that Purdue can do about that from their end. So all they can do is play their best and try to shut down the best players on Michigan, which I think they're in a very good spot to do with the personnel that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this game now, and I'm going to be honest. I wasn't expecting you to pick this game. Not when the spread started at 10.5, moved to 8.5. That was a big turn I didn't see coming. But Michigan is atrocious on the road, 2-5. I have seen a lot of their play. I would kind of lean to the over here. I know you don't like playing unders. I like playing overs, especially.
Well, if I don't like the under, I have to like the over, right?
That's
It's
fair enough.
got to go one way or the other.
But Purdue's defense is almost historically bad. They're 351st in blocks, 327th in steals, 263rd in points in the nation, and they are some of the lowest in defensive rebounds at 358. Everything here leads me to say there's going to be a lot of points scored here because when I look at the Boilermakers, what I
mean,
see is
all that, and they're still ranked 4th in the nation, though, right?
Oh yeah, no, I think that they're still going to win quite a lot of basketball games this year. Obviously, number 4 in the nation,
and they're 17th in boards. So,
but it's because they blow teams out on the offensive glass. They get
and they don't turn the ball over,
and they pass. They pass without turning the ball over. If you could do those 3 things, you're going to win. You pass without turning the ball over. You get offensive rebounds, second chance points, and you play with pace. And they're very good at that. They score a lot of points to these Boilermakers. I would expect them to work Michigan. I'm glad you pointed that out. I will be taking that play.
Absolutely. And I know that college basketball Saturday is a big day, and there are usually a lot more plays that come from that from a lot of cappers. You got to know your strengths and weaknesses. I'm not one necessarily for a lot of volume when it comes to college basketball. I like to pick my spots, especially with so many spots. You really got to. There's no need to play 15 games, if you have the right spots in a couple of them. That being said, I recognize that one play is not usually what people want to see. We're getting into the college basketball game now, as we said, with February being the month that we really start diving in. So look out for a lot more stuff from that on our page, from this BCMG Bets, Blue Collar Bets page that we have going forward, especially next week, but or I should say 2 weeks from now after the Super Bowl. But for now, that's all I've got going on that.
Well, let's move over to the NBA then, Sam. There's a lot of interesting games on the radar. A couple of games I want to highlight while we talk. First, I like Miami and Charlotte to be a close game on Saturday. I want to talk about that spread. Your New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Lakers is going to draw a huge handle. New York and LA always do, but that's kind of what I would call a shit show of a game. Pardon my French.
Yes,
And
you'd
then
be correct in calling it that.
on to Sunday, I think there's a lot of great matchups to watch out for. For those of you who are going to be watching basketball on Sunday, I would tune in to Philly at Chicago at 3:30 Eastern. Brooklyn at Denver, I think is going to be a great game. Indy and Cleveland will probably be close, and Atlanta at Dallas. I mean, these are all great games. There are a couple other games on the radar, but those are kind of the big ones. Sam, what games did you want to highlight, and what edges do you see? With of
Um,
course the fact that everyone should stay tuned for injuries because we're making these plays on Friday for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday on occasion. Generally, in the NBA, you got to pick both things. I heard that on your recent spot, Sam, what you did with another show. If you don't realize in the NBA that you have to watch out for injuries and rest as much as you have to watch out for the right side in a basketball game, you shouldn't be betting the NBA. So,
Absolutely.
Sam, what spots do you see an edge to, and what should we be looking for as gamblers this weekend?
Well, one thing I will say right now is I need you to feed me lines because I can't find what the lines are for anything. Let
Okay,
me see if I can
okay.
go on Action
What
Network
what
and find them.
what game exactly are you looking at to have that line? Because I do have lines in front of me for some of these games. Now, a lot of lines are not up for the weekend, and the reason
That's
for
what I was
that
about
is
to
there are
say.
games to play this evening, and lines for those games should be up most likely after tonight's games.
What
Tonight's
line do
scores are
you
close.
have? What lines do you have for Suns Wizards?
Suns Wizards tomorrow at 7. Let me double check that with a second source here. But as of now, I don't see a line on the board. I would expect that line to be somewhere near 8 points.
See, no, that's
Um,
I maybe, but the Wizards are coming off a big win against the Sixers. Suns are coming off a big loss off their win streak against the Hawks. I just want to if I can get the Suns at
okay, I have the
6.
line.
What
I
is
have the
it?
line. The line is 8.5,
Never mind.
and the over under is 214. So
I was gonna
that
say I
is
like the Suns, but not at 8, not 8.5. Moving on. What do you have the Heat Hornets game at?
the Heat and Hornets. Let me double check that as well. It is Heat at Hornets. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me double check that line as well. It looks like it's going to open at -5, but it's not open yet. There's just speculation there that it
Minus
will open at
5
Heat
to Miami.
-5.
Yeah,
I
I'd
like
be very
Charlotte.
interested. It depends on injuries. It really depends on injuries. If Miami's not fully healthy, I like Charlotte. If Miami's fully healthy, I kind of like Miami. You have to realize what the weaknesses of and strengths of each team are. Miami is not necessarily that versatile offensively, but Charlotte is one of the worst defensive teams in the league in the last month or so, especially in the last month, or tries to say all year they've been pretty bad. And then you look at Charlotte's weakness, and that's kind of their defense. As I said, Miami's defense is strong enough to the point where they can compete and hold Charlotte down, as well as the fact that their offense is strong enough to compete and play against that terrible defense and put up points. So I think it's a really interesting battle to see if we'll have some injuries in play. I do like the Hornets if it's 5.5. If it goes below 4, I usually don't like that because of free throws.
Well, you know how I feel about betting the NBA. I mean, it's more of a crapshoot than it is a science at this point with the way that teams rest players. But it is interesting as we get towards All Star Weekend, which guys are going to play hard, which guys are not. Some of the guys that maybe got snubbed might be playing a little bit harder. I like some of those props. Pardon me. I would look out for any Jalen Brown over on the defensive end, whether that be steals or rebounds plus assists. I also like as well as we go into the stretch here, especially in that Celtics at Orlando game. I think that line on that game is going to be near 11 or 12 points. So I wouldn't
Is that
touch the game.
tomorrow?
I believe it's on Sunday.
Yeah,
I don't have it in front of me. But
it
I
is,
do
and I'm gonna
think
tell you right now that you guys are gonna be at least 12-point favorites with the Magic going on a back-to-back.
I would assume 11 to 12, maybe even 12 and a half. I love Jalen Brown overs this week. He got snubbed as an all-star. He's going to be feeling that. He is competing in the three-point contest, but we all know how these NBA players feel about being the all-star. Even though the all-star game is not what it
It's
used
a
to be, it's
fan
changed
vote.
a lot. Um, Jaylen Brown is going to be, I think, very upset, very motivated to play hard, and he's already been very, very good this season, as has Jason Tatum, who's leading the NBA in points. Look for some of those Jaylen Brown overs this weekend.
Yeah, I actually want to move to a different NBA game now, if that's all right. And I move to it with a little bit of urgency because it starts in an hour and a half.
Let's do it.
It is not a tomorrow game, not a Sunday game. This is a game tonight. The Philadelphia 76ers opened as 2-point dogs to the Mavericks. They are now at a pick'em or at +1 in a lot of spots. No Porzingis. Joel Embiid, I believe, either rested the last game or didn't play because of injuries. Whatever the reason may be, he is back and he's on extended rest. The Sixers are in Dallas coming off of a big win, without Embiid against the Grizzlies. Dallas is kind of struggling right now. In fact, not kind of struggling. They've just lost 2 in a row to the Orlando Magic and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Those are 2 of the worst teams in the league.
That's
I think
brutal.
their combined record is 28-75. And the Mavericks have looked pretty abysmal in both of them. They miss Porzingis. They miss Tim Hardaway Jr. I think that Philly is going to be too much for them to handle tonight, especially with Embiid on extended rest. And the only starting big men, or the only decent big men for the Mavericks tonight, are going to be Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber. Joel Embiid is also 4-1 since he came into the league against the Dallas Mavericks. And the 76ers are 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 road games. So, 9-1 straight up in their last 10 road games. So I really like Philly here against a struggling Dallas team. I think Embiid controls the game and most of the narrative, even though Luka Doncic is very, 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 very good. There are some good defenders on Philadelphia, and even though Dallas has been the second best defense in the league since January 1st, Philly's been the fourth. So they're one of the teams that can compete defensively, and I think that defensively for Dallas, they're going to struggle a little bit to handle Joel Embiid. So the Sixers money line tonight, I think it was at +105 in some places before this broadcast. I think it's closer to even now. I'd still take them wherever it's at. Philly is 105. I think Philly is going to win this game -105. Job, I think you might have some audio issues. You might be muted. Yeah.
-105.
I saw you mouthing the 105. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like Philly tonight at -105, whatever the case may be. Philly takes the game. And Embiid's props are a little ridiculous. But if you have a daily fantasy sports game where you want to play him, or you're wondering who to play in that game as the captain, I'd obviously choose him. Not much of a hot take there. He's the best player on the court. But I was also thinking, for what it's worth, of taking Joel Embiid first basket until I saw it was only +250. He is going to have an absolutely monstrous game tonight, and I think Philadelphia wins this game by the way, for what it's worth, they've beaten Dallas in their first 2 matchups, or last 2 matchups, by, I believe, 18 and 15. So Philly also has had Dallas's number in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Anytime you can't find a guy to match up with Joel Embiid, and there's not a lot of teams that can, and he's healthy, he's going to be a matchup nightmare. You're probably going to be scraping and clawing for defensive stops in the paint. I like this play. I'm not on that game personally. The games that I am on as of right now today, I'm on the Cavaliers +160. That's looking good. I'm on the Celtics -430.
I was going to give out that stuff too, but I mean, they're already playing, so like
I'm just giving out what I've got going because I have it in front of me. I've got the Bulls -155. That is a tight game right now, and I'm not really too happy with the Bulls the way they're playing.
I got a word for you on that one when you're done.
And I have the Nets as well at +145. Those are all in a parlay for +1,100.
Responsible, Joe.
Okay
Nice
right now. But I will be sweating as it gets closer to the end of this Bulls game.
Yeah. So what I have today, first of all, on my sides and money lines, I have the Bulls at a pick'em. They're currently tied at 83. I have the Celtics -10. They're currently up 16. The Hawks at +130. They are down 1. I have the Jazz -5.5. The Pelicans money line in a parlay at -240, and the Sixers money line straight up and in a parlay. But what I wanted to talk to you about is this little SGP I've got going here in the Bulls game, because we are looking solid with one exception, as always.
There's always one exception.
I have the Bulls money line over 227.5, which I also had straight up, by the way. I thought that was a lock in this game with all the injured defenders that are out. And then I
No.
have Io DeSumo over 11 or more points. That is the part that is currently questionable. The other two parts have already hit. Vucevic over 22 points, Vucevic over 12 boards. I also have him in DraftKings tonight. So I had a big Vooch night. I just need
I
Io
always
to
have a
get
big Vooch night.
I
I
need
love Vooch.
Io to get 5 more points and the Bulls to pull out this win. I'm assuming this game's going to go over, seeing as it's at 171 points with 3 minutes left in the third. But the Bulls need to pull out this win. I need Io DeSumo to get 5 more points for me to be a happy man tonight. And I'd also be happy if the Philadelphia 76ers could pull out a big one tonight. But moving on to one more game that is tomorrow, I do want to look a little bit at that Knicks-Lakers game. Can you give me the spread there, the estimated spread?
I can give you the estimated spread. Give me just 1 second to make sure I have the most accurate numbers. It is in LA. Am I correct?
You are correct.
All right, let me just double check. I want to make sure I'm getting the right game because I've done that in the past.
It's
All right,
the
it
Knicks
looks.
and Lakers.
I know that. So I'm getting in these odds. Obviously, not official odds because they're not out yet as of now. But it does look like. Oh, there is no estimated odds on the board. That is tough, Sam.
Lovely.
That's very concerning. It does look like the early bets, at least the early leans, seem to all be on the Lakers. They also seem to be on the under, which is interesting. There's no updated over or under either for that game. Either way, I wouldn't bet that game. Both teams suck, and when that's the case, I try not to watch the game.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Well, I'm not a stinker like you, and when there's something to bet on, I try to find an edge. With that being said, there's nothing from the Knicks side that excites me because the Lakers are pretty good defensively. What I will say is if LeBron is not playing and Melo's not playing, which I believe neither of them are, I'm not sure if LeBron's in or out yet, but I know Melo's out. RJ Barrett is probably a decent shout for his points. He's been in a slump recently, but before that, he had hit a lot of his. He'd hit over 20 points, like 3 or 4 games in a row, maybe 5. I think he's a good shot in national television to get his stride back. He's a young player with a lot of potential, and he's hard on himself, which is something else that I think is really good about him as a player. Is he pushes himself to get better when he fails. So I think RJ Barrett's probably going to have at least 20 tomorrow on national television. I'm assuming his points perhaps going to be under that because he's had under 20 in about 3 or 4 straight games, I think. But I think that he's due for not only a good performance, but a very, very good performance. I could see him. In fact, I do see him being the points leader on the team tomorrow, unless Evan Fournier has one of those random games where he decides to put up 40 points and 8 3-pointers. Because, I wouldn't complain about that, but
Well,
I'm not
40 is good for
expecting it.
one of those. As soon as you're ready to trade him, he's good for one of those. That's just the way that Evan Fournier rolls. For some reason, seems to always be the case. I mean, that's going to be a big game, Sam. We might even be back for a small broadcast before that game because everybody's going to want to watch that game. Everyone's going to be betting on that game because they are the two, biggest names in basketball as far as brands go. But as of now, no lines are available for that. Are there any edges you want to point out in that Pro Bowl game before we walk away? I know it's the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
I wouldn't bet the
Yes.
Pro Bowl.
Yes. Yes.
Pro Bowl.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. I am going to put down 2 units. I've changed my mind. I've moved it up to 2. Job, it's not rocket science. This is it's an all-star game, all right? Which team has the better players? Why don't you look through the roster and tell me? I want you to look through the rosters. In fact,
I'm not doing that.
I'll do you one better, and I will take you through the rosters. How about that?
Okay, let's do it. We have 7 minutes remaining in our show here. Let's make use of them.
All right. So, quarterbacks for the AFC. Herbert and Mahomes are going to get the majority of time. Mac Jones is going to be the last guy. I'm not really counting Mac Jones here, but Mac Jones is going to be the last guy. All right.
Does Mac Jones see a snap in the Pro Bowl?
Yes.
Damn.
On the other side, it was supposed to be Brady and Rodgers, with Kyler Murray as the third guy. Brady and Rodgers both backed out.
Well,
It's
Brady
Kyler.
is no longer playing in the
Yes,
NFL.
obviously. It's Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, and Russell Wilson. That's my first thing right there.
Okay, fair enough.
Herbert and Mahomes versus Kyler and Kirk. Now, Kyler and Kirk are good. Herbert and Mahomes are both better.
The writing's on the wall with Kirk Cousins being good. I mean, I don't know about that.
He's had a good season. You look at listen, that's really the main difference that I wanted to point out. The rest of the roster, 1.
Okay, well, the AFC is going to win that football game.
That's what I'm saying. The AFC is going to win this game, and they have the better quarterbacks. It's really that simple. And Kyler has looked like kind of trash at the end of the season, and he's still not throwing to D-Hop. So,
well, he's going to be throwing to some talented receivers.
Obviously,
let's not get that wrong.
Not guys he has that much chemistry with.
Is Devontae Adams playing for the NFC?
Let me check.
Because that might actually influence my decision, and just let me take the under if he's not playing.
No, he's not playing. Mike Evans is in for him.
Well, there are worse.
CeeDee Lamb is in for Cup. Something I was talking about earlier on the Sharp Rank show. Shout out to our friends over at Sharp Rank, by the way, our partners. Is that I like kind of looking at the side of the Pro Bowl where there's more talent. Well, I shouldn't say more talent. I believe I haven't checked this, but I believe there are more Rams in the Pro Bowl than Bengals who were named to the Pro Bowl.
There are. I think the only Bengals named were Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson, and we know defense is not the name of the game in the Pro Bowl.
So yeah, I know that for a fact that Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, I don't know what that is. We're gonna get that comment.
Seems like a typo.
No, that is a bot. That is a bot if I've ever seen one. But what was I saying? That just threw me off guard.
Pro Bowl. Quarterbacks, defense.
Yeah,
Bengals.
So basically, I like looking at the team that hasn't had as many guys had to be subbed because of the Super Bowl. There are more subs that had to happen on the NFC side because of the Rams having, I believe, maybe 5 Pro Bowlers, maybe more, maybe less. I know Whitworth's also a Pro Bowler now that I'm thinking about it. And I don't think Stafford was. So that might be it from the offensive side, but there are also other guys from the defensive side. I just think that there are more replacements to be made, and not many people care as much. So if Kyler Murray might just scramble around and heave it up, whereas Herbert and Mahomes are actually better at completing those types of passes. So I don't know. I like the AFC there. One thing I do want to mention before we leave is that I believe I wanted to go over. I like the Bulls at home against the 76ers on Sunday. I don't care what the estimated line is. Bulls are going to be on a day of rest. They likely will have Zach LaVine. What?
There won't be an estimated line until after tonight's game.
I assume.
Bless you. So I'm going to just go ahead and make a suggestion here that line's probably going to be 4.5. That's what I would assume.
Not with Lonzo and Caruso still out. So, unless you're saying for Philly, I think it'll be closer.
I am saying it'll be Philly. Philly minus 4.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like the Bulls as home dogs there. Absolutely.
And how high do you like them?
Or how low do I like them? I guess.
Rather, how low as
I mean, I think they're gonna win. So till even.
Interesting. I like that take. I also like the Bulls. I have the Bulls to win the AFC. No, I'm saying the AFC now. The Eastern Conference.
Bulls are going to win the Pro Bowl. You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's a fact. Sam, let's wrap on that, and we will be back. Probably not on Sunday because I don't think we're going to do a Pro Bowl show. But we'll be back next week.
I'll be busy sweating it.
Yeah, well, that's always the case. We'll be back next week on this show, and then again before Super Sunday to break down.
Multiple times before Super Sunday.
I would assume so, to break down the biggest game in sports. Before that, I want to just thank all of our partners, BCMG, Sharp Rank, etc., for all the work that they do. You can check out, Sam was on a special edition of Sharp Rank this week. today. Sam, where can people find that? Do you have any idea, or should I point that out on Twitter?
You can find that on Sharp Ranks Twitter. I believe that I can share the broadcast. We can share the broadcast to our Twitter as well. I believe you did that earlier, so it should also be on our page. It was great time with the guys over at Sharp Rank. Really great. I like getting the best, the smartest minds in the game together. There were a lot of smart people there, including some people from Sports Illustrated, NBC Sports. We talked some fun stuff, some fun Super Bowl props included, national anthem,
Tails.
um,
We all love
tails.
tails.
Listen, Job, I'm going to make the point to the public right now that you made to me earlier in the week because spoiler alert, I was leaning towards heads. If you bet tails and you lose,
That's acceptable.
It's acceptable. Shit happens. If you bet heads and it was tails, you're an idiot.
Exactly.
You're an idiot. How could you not bet on tails? So
tails.
It's obvious that we are also making tails an official play. Now, we might be. We might be.
Keep an eye out for some of those fun props.
Yeah.
We will talk about props.
We always make our Super Bowl play a 5-unit banger to end the season. So
so
we're
gonna
put a lot of
hey,
Joe, don't put words in my mouth. Or the models. So look out for that. There's going to be a lot of film analysis and a couple of video breakdowns that go with that as well. Keep eyes peeled. And yeah, that's it from me, Joe.
All right.
Send us away.
That's it for us. Thank you all so much. We will be back shortly with all your betting needs. Thank you very much.